Hey guys, how's it going? It's Robert Warshank here, and I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for this video on the Legendary Disenchant Guide. Which legendaries are a safe craft, which legendaries aren't really worth you spending the dust to obtain, and then of course which legendaries should hold on to. Maybe they're not good right now, but they could be potentially really good in the future. So with that, let's head into it. Let's transition over. I normally talk, for those of you who are unfamiliar with how we do our disenchant guides, I'll go through each class, all the legendaries within a class, and kind of explain, the reasoning behind disenchanting, not disenchanting. Some cards I'll go into more details than other, but overall I try to look at things in more of a competitive, like winning aspect than more of a meme deck, but I'll talk about it when we get to the cards. So the first card we're going to talk about is the Floop's Glorious Gloop. This card doesn't currently see play at all, so it's pretty safe disenchant. It used to see play in a little bit of Token Druid, but that doesn't it doesn't exist right now, so it's a safe disenchant. Jungle Giants, again, more of like a meme deck right now. Again, not really found in any prominent tier 1, tier 2, even tier 3 or tier 4 decks. There was a time where you'd play Jungle Giants. There was some Malagos TK deck running around, but again, not really at the top of the totem pole. Pretty safe disenchant there. The new legendary, the new Druid legendary, in Wild, if you like the Wild format, she's really good if you have Fandral on the board, but that's another legendary, right? So off the bat, she doesn't see play in any Druid deck, and then in Wild, you have to have Fandral to make her good, so definitely not a safe card. When I say it's safe to disenchant, like the Glorious Flop and this, it also means do not enchant it, or do not craft it, because they're just not good. So if they're safe to disenchant, you can assume also they're safe to not make. Same thing with the Druid at the moment, not very good. Normally Druid gets I guess it's like normally they're really powerful or they suck, and this one, not very good. Like this guy, exceedingly powerful, super good. When Malagos Druid was really prominent on ladder, same thing with Togwaggle Druid, this guy was great. It was definitely a staple in those Druid decks. Now that Druid most recently took the nerf, with the Wild Growth and Nourish, mana cost being increased, Druid you don't even see Druid on ladder at all, and if you do see Druid, it's remnants. It's very small percent. So if you're still playing Malagos Druid, obviously this is a good keep. I would actually hold on to this guy. I don't recommend disenchanting him yet, because Druid, and when the next rotation occurs, maybe Druid will pop back up. But overall, Floop's really good in my opinion, and he's just a really good card. The Twig, this is again one of those key components to the combo Malagos Druid that I was talking about earlier. At the moment, besides that deck, you could also play it in like a Car Druid or a Togwaggle Druid, but those decks aren't even popular at all. I would actually hold on to the Twig. It doesn't see play right now, but it definitely is a good card in general. She's absolutely terrible. You can disenchant her. I've already disenchanted mine, as you can see. Definitely not very important. The Fungal Lord doesn't actually see play in any deck. I actually played him in our Big Druid deck, and we did some really solid work with Big Druid, but he's not, by no means is that deck like exceedingly powerful, nor this guy is exceedingly good in any Druid deck right now. So pretty safe disenchant on the Fungal Lord. Gonk, a lot of people love Gonk. There's a Gonk OTK list. I've yet to play against a single one on ladder. People actually threw it into their Druid list just to have like an extra win condition on top of Malagos, because it's only Gonk and like 2 or 3 other cards. So just to have an alternate OTK for just that few of cards is really nice. But overall, I mean, I would hang on to him. I guess he's a cool card, right? But by no means is he a staple in any Druid deck right now, unless you're building specifically Gonk OTK, which really isn't that good. It only really worked on the first couple days of the new set because people, first of all, didn't know about it, and third of all, first of all, people didn't know about it, and second of all, everybody's testing new stuff, and that's like where ladder is least competitive, and no one really knows what's good or bad. So people are playing some really bad decks, and of course, you can capitalize on bad decks with a slightly less bad deck, which would be like Gonko TK. Malfurion is still super sick nasty. Keep in mind that all of the Nobolds, Ungoro, and Frozen Throne, all 3 of those expansions are rotating out after this upcoming set comes out at the January, February, sometime in March or April. I can't believe I had to count on my ignore that part. But yeah, so when the first set of the new year occurs, we'll lose the last 3 sets. So if you're looking to craft some of these DKs, if you can wait a couple months and save some of your dust, if you're a free to play player, that might be a good idea. But Malfurion is obviously one of the best DKs. He's super good, but again, we're losing Malfurion in roughly about 3 months. So just keep that in mind. Splinter Graft, horrible. You don't need to craft this guy. Cenarius, I would keep him. Every single legendary from the basic set, I would just keep, so you don't keep reopening them. Unfortunately, he doesn't see play at all. But, you know, opening the same legendary over and over and over again is kind of annoying, especially because it's like a core set and you'll keep accumulating packs over time. So I wouldn't necessarily disenchant him, but it's up to you guys. When it comes to like the core set legendaries, sometimes they see play, sometimes they don't, and like I said, it's kind of up to you on that one. Hadronox, Taunt Druid was a very powerful deck for a while. It doesn't really see any play at the moment because, again, of the most recent Druid nerf. So you have to keep in mind a lot of these Druid cards are kind of up in the air until the Druid class gets its oomph back because of, like I said, the recent nerfs. So I would hold on to Hadronox. He's just a really strong card in general. So maybe Taunt Druid will make its vengeance soon. Tyrant is pretty safe disenchant. The only card that this normally fits into is some form of big Druid. And again, that deck's more of a meme deck. And if you're watching this video, that means you can't afford big Druid, because that deck is mostly huge legendary minions or epics. And yeah, the Marsh Queen, pretty safe disenchant. This deck was actually, it was so popular when the new set came out. Everybody was playing Quest Hunter because of the new cards. But then that deck, literally within 2 days, everybody stopped playing it. Not a single, I have not played a single Quest Hunter since day 2 of the new expansion. So pretty safe disenchant there. Houndmaster Shaw is just really good. Fits into most Hunter decks. Professor of Future side. So I really like this card. Sees no play. Pretty safe disenchant. But I like it. I like it a lot. I don't know why I like it so much. It's just a cool card. It's probably because when I played WoW, he was one of my favorite bosses in the Frozen Throne because he was so cool. Like the mechanics, like he had the enrage mechanic, and then you had to run around the room and kill the slimes, and you had to kite them. I mean, there's just a lot of, he was just like a finishing nice wing boss, for those of you who know. For those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm sorry. But he was just a cool boss, probably why I like the card. But he's a safe disenchant. The links, the only time you're probably going to play this card, if you're not playing Quest Hunter, is if you get him off Rexar. So this is a pretty safe disenchant. He's a good card, but he doesn't really fit in any Hunter deck right now. I guess you could maybe make an argument for like mid-range Hunter, just to put Lynxes in your hand, just to get beast synergy. So maybe some form of like Master's Call mid-range Beast Hunter will play this guy, but at the moment, he doesn't see a ton of play. Maybe I'd hold on to him. Yeah, for those of you who enjoy Hunter a lot and like mid-range Hunter, I'd hold on to him. For those of you who hate Hunter and probably will never play Hunter just because you just don't like the class, he's a pretty safe disenchant. Rexar is one of the, if not the strongest card in the standard set right now. Standalone, you know, he's not, depends on the situation, he's good or bad, right? But most of the time, standalone, this is probably one of the best card. I mean, he literally just generates a random beast every turn, and then most of the time really good. So solid card, like I said, but keep in mind all the DKs are rotating. Boommaster Flark doesn't see play. Even an odd Hunter, he doesn't even see play. So Rock Dalar, I have a golden one. Yes, Rock Dalar, super good if you love Spell Hunter, or I should say, you know, no minion Hunter. It only fits in no minion Hunter. So if you have no intention of playing no minion Hunter, then you can disenchant this. But if you like no minion Hunter, keep. Swamp King Dread. A lot of people are playing this, and I wouldn't say a lot, but a small percentage of the Death Rattle Hunters are playing Swamp King Dread. By no means is he a staple in the deck, and you have to have this card. But if you have him and you want to throw him in your, you know, your Death Rattle or Cube Hunter, go ahead. But if not, safe disenchant. Flark's Boomzooka is probably the worst card I have almost ever seen ever. I mean, this card is so bad. It hurts so much. Safe disenchant. Cathena Winterwisp, really good in the Cube Hunter or the Recruit Hunter. But besides that, she sees no play. So again, if you don't like Hunter at all, a lot of these specific legendaries, like, you know, the Druid specific legendaries, the Hunter specific legendaries, they fit in specific decks. And if you don't like those decks, they're safe disenchant, like this one right here. I'd keep her just because Cube Hunter is one of the best decks, if not the best deck right now. So she's a really solid keep, and she's just good in general. Even if you're playing even like a mid-range or a Curve Hunter, maybe in the lower ranks, I'm not sure, but King Crush, again, since he's from the core set, I'd definitely keep him. Really good in, like we were mentioning, the Recruit Hunter. So going Cathena Winterwisp on 8 and then pulling a King Crush is absolutely sick. And then, of course, when she dies, she summons like another beast. And if you got Swamp King Dread in your deck, or you've got the other Charged Devilsaur, I mean, you just put in a huge amount of work. So Emerus, super cool card. I don't know why this is a Hunter card. I figured this would make much more sense in almost any, like a Warrior deck, for example, or I don't know, Paladin. I don't know. This card in Hunter just doesn't make sense. It's it's a horrible card for the Hunter class. I mean, it's good if you randomly generate it, but you would never play this card, so it's safe disenchant. And then Zul'jin, in my opinion, one of the strongest cards, if not the strongest card, to come out of the most recent set, Rastakhan's Rumble. So he was one of my first crafts, my golden crafts. And keep in mind, when all of the DKs rotate out, he and Hagatha are, I think, going to be the only two left, if I'm not mistaken. Those are the only two DK. Oh, and Dr. Boom, I'm sorry. So yeah, there'll be the 3 DKs left, and they're going to be strongest. And out of those, I'm pretty sure him and Hagatha, really, really good. He probably takes the bells from Hagatha in terms of tempo-wise. Is that for? Oh, moving on to Mage. Open the way gate. All right, looking at Mage. This only obviously is played in Quest Mage, so if you don't like OTK Quest Mage, you can disenchant it. How good is OTK Quest Mage? I think it's actually really good right now, just because of all the control decks that are running around. The OTK Paladin. There's a lot of decks right now that don't pressure you in the early game. And the Mage deck draws great. They have great freeze abilities, and they have good stall. So overall, Quest Mage, in my opinion, really good deck. Probably maybe low tier 2. And that's really good for me because I love, the lower tier decks. But yeah, if you don't play Quest Mage, obviously a safe disenchant. This guy is probably a safe disenchant as well. Doesn't really see play in any competitive or high level deck. Pyros, again, super cool card, but unfortunately does not really see play unless you're playing some sort of like curve element, like some curve stone elemental mage. And even then, you could probably replace him with some other stuff. Like I said, cool card, but he's not a staple in any of the mage decks that are floating around right now. And when the mage decks are popular, it's mostly control mage, and he's not even played in that deck. So Stargazer or Luna, I've seen people play this in their aggressive odd mages recently, so I would actually hold on to her for now, because she's not only played in tempo mage, she's also now being played in the odd mage, which means she's played in 2 kinds of mage decks, which makes her more favorable to keep. So definitely not a bad card. Safe keep. Alunith, again, only really found in tempo mage. Tempo mage isn't that popular at all right now, unless you're playing maybe like a Murloc mage. Murloc mage, this is an absolute staple. Tempo Mage, you can play the deck without this card and it's still pretty good, but with it, it's obviously much better. And then obviously, if you're playing Odd Mage, this is an even card, so you can't play this card. So this, again, is only really found in Tempo Mage. If you don't play Tempo Mage, safe disenchant. It's not like Gul'dan, where he can literally fit into any deck ever. And same thing with like Skolo Minari. You can put the deck in a control deck, you can put it in cube deck, you can put it if you wanted to in a zoo deck, and it would still do pretty well. But this deck, again, obviously only does well in that one specific deck. Toki is found in control mage, but only some if you're looking to have a good time. Overall, this isn't like a very competitive card. This is a very fun card. So if you're looking at this in senses of like, hey, I want the best card in my deck possible, this is a safe DE. But if you're playing control mage and you want to have a good time, you throw a Toki in there and it's pretty fun. So honestly, I would keep her just because she's a fun card. But for those of you who are looking to just build those tier 1, tier 2 decks, she's obviously a disenchant. Archmage, keep him. He's one of the best cards, one of the best legendaries in my opinion to come out of the core set. If this card just lives on the board a couple turns, you win, even just 1 turn. And also he's a staple in the OTK mage. The new Dragonhawk, I think it's pretty good. Overall, people are playing this in obviously odd mage, and people are even weaving it into their just the normal control mage, because they run the 1 mana fire starter dude. So I would definitely keep the Dragonhawk. Summoning Ragnaros is always cool. Luna's Pocket Galaxy, we played a big Pocket Galaxy mage. It was a ton of fun, very expensive deck. I do not recommend building it. Yeah, I do not recommend building the deck. Super fun deck, but obviously not very competitive, so this is a safe disenchant. Hex Lord Mal. Obviously, I don't have him, but I've yet to see a single competitive control mage deck play him. I have yet to play against him, and I have yet to see on any tournament list or roster this guy in the deck. Maybe after the next rotation that happens, the DKs, most of them being removed, and then on top of that, the overall power level of cards decreasing, we may see a little bit more of him. But overall, again, pretty safe disenchant. I haven't seen anybody really play with him. Syndragosa fits into control mage and basically control mage only. But it's a fun card. Again, this is more of like a Toki kind of card. You don't even have to have Syndragosa in your mage deck. You can play without it and it's still good. But it's more of like, again, a fun card and only fits into control mage. Dragon Caller, again, a control mage specific card, especially control mage, because summon a 5/5 dragon for each spell you that costs 5 more. So only control mage would be playing all of those really big spells, not necessarily tempo mage. Frostlich Jaina, again, one of the best DKs. Being able to summon a water Ellie almost every turn as long as you can kill something with the hero power is insane. This is an absolute staple in Control Mage, probably the only card that makes Control Mage work. If this wasn't in Control Mage, I don't think Control Mage would be a thing at all, which is very sad that Control Mage is essentially relying on its DK to win, but that's just the state of Mage right now. Mage is in a weird kind of position. I mean, granted, Control Mage can still win with Dragoncaller, but ideally a lot of games are won with Frostlich Jaina. Moving on to Paladin, we have the last Kaleidosaur door thing. It sucks. There's been a couple of decks that run it. You know, I think Kibler ran it, and he did really well with it on ladder within the first week of the new expansion, and then he kind of moved to something else. But if you're looking for competitive play, you know, cards that overall do well, this is not the one. Crystal Smith is really good. Being able to double your healing is just great. Plus, it's a 2-mana 1/2 with Divine Steel and Lifesteal, so it's a good card by itself. And then just the fact that your healing is doubled is just insane. So definitely a good keep. High Priest Thakal, only really found right now in the control healing OTK Paladin. So if you're not necessarily playing that deck, you don't need this card. But if you're looking to build the OTK Paladin, which is a tier 1 deck right now, this is definitely a good card to have for that. The Glass Knight is found in even Paladin right now. Looks cool. It's really good. Who would have known these cards are really good in Priest? We ended up randomly generating this when we were playing a game, and it was in our Priest deck, and this card just did so much work we just kept healing ourselves. It was so nasty. But anyway, it's a solid card if you play even Paladin, but if you don't play even Paladin, you don't need this card. Bolivar is absolutely garbage. You can disenchant him. Prince Liam. So, I mean, he's a safe disenchant for the most part, but some people play him in their odd paladins, and it's more of a late game card. And also you can play him with Hakar in your paladin deck, and then Hakar puts the blood in the deck, and then you Prince, and it changes the blood into a legendary. So you get rid of your blood, and your opponent keeps their corrupted blood from Hakar. So we did that a few times, but overall you can disenchant him. Those decks aren't really that good. I mean, Odd Paladin is good, but you don't need Prince Liam. He's not a staple by any means. Sunkeeper Term's super sick, one of the best Paladin legendaries. I mean, he's just disgustingly powerful. So definitely a good craft if you don't have him, and definitely a safe keep if you do have him. Valinar, I love this weapon. It's so good. I think it's super underrated. It's just infinite value. If the minion does not get silenced or polymorph, you have a weapon forever and a minion that's going to get buffed forever. So if you're playing even Paladin, it's good. If you're playing some sort of control Paladin, it's good. You know, if you're playing some sort of mid-range Paladin, it's good. So definitely a keep in my eyes. Definitely a keep. Khadgar's Endless Army is good with the Death Rattle Paladin, which is actually not a bad deck. It's more of it's more of a fun deck. Definitely somewhere in tier 4, tier 3, low tier 3. But it's still a really cool card, and it works out really well. So I would, if you don't play Paladin, or especially Mech or Egg, or it's a Mechano Egg, I think it's called. It sums out the dinosaur. Yeah, so if you don't play that deck, then you don't need this card. But, if you have the cards, it's a fun deck to build. Linessa, super good. Whether you're playing, any sort of mid-range or the OTK Paladin or some sort of control Paladin, cast each spell you cast on your minions on this one. So all your Blessing of Kings, your Spike Ridge Steeds, your Divine Heroism and all that good stuff gets cast on her. Exceedingly powerful. So very nice, very nice. Tyrion, put your faith in the light. Super good card. Was when Vanilla Hearthstone was a thing. This was just one of the best legendaries. I mean, just getting an Assbringer that did 15 damage was insane. So definitely keep Tyrion if you have him. He doesn't see a ton of play right now, but I'm sure, eventually he will, or it's just a good card to have in your collection. Uther the Ebon Blade is a really good Death Knight because he activates the OTK combo. As we know, he changes your hero power to the 4 horsemen, and then if you have all of them, they destroy the enemy heroes. So that, again, tier 1 deck right now. This is the center of it. Definitely don't disenchant. It's just good. And then Shirvala is, again, really, really good. Fits in, again, the control, she, and then the card we went over earlier, the Khadgar and the High Priest, they all kind of fit into that OTK Paladin deck. So again, she's just really good in general, and I'm sure when the new expansion comes out, she's still going to be good because she ends up being a 0-mana 7/5 rush lifesteal Divine Shield minion. I mean, there's just card's not bad. Moving on to Priest. Awaken the Makers. So this is currently only played right now with the Topsy-Turvy / Mechathune builds. You have no interest in playing either one of those decks. Safe disenchant, but if those decks interest you, it's a safe keep. Out of all the quests, this is one of the weaker ones, but it's still powerful. But if you look at like some of the other quests, they're really good. Like, this doesn't win you the game when it's completed, but like the rogue one, for example, I mean, it's just disgusting. The mage one is part of the OTK combo. You look at the warrior one, it's, you know, 2-mana deal 8 every turn. There's no, like, this doesn't continuously bring value. It just puts your health to 40, which is good for that one turn. But then after that, like, warrior just keeps doing the 8, you know, rogue, their minions stay 4. So Camelios, I thought this guy was gonna be really good. I had high hopes for him. Like, I was like, oh my god, just the card Control Priest was looking for. This is super sick. I ended up seeing no play at all. This guy saw 0 play, so you don't have to really worry about this guy. You know, you can disenchant him. Dragon Soul, more of like a meme card. I tried it a bunch in all kinds of different metas with all kinds of different decks. It's just not, it's a hit or miss. You draw it early, it's really good, and if your deck's built around it, you know, it'll do well. But if it gets destroyed and your deck is built around it, you know, that sucks. And if your deck is built around it and you don't draw it, that sucks. So, you know, safe disenchant, you don't really need to craft it. Lyra, super good card, found in the OTK. You know, like the Resurrect Priest or the OTK Priest that Asmo made popular. Really good card. I mean, you can play this in your priest deck in almost any kind of priest deck, and it'll be a good card. Lady in White, people thought this was going to be like the next Raza Priest. Like Lady in White is like the new 6-drop before it was Raza on 5, and now it's going to be Lady on 6, but that never ended up happening. Yeah, it's kind of just a dud. Nobody plays her. She was played for a little bit, but the deck wasn't that good. So, safe disenchant. Xeric Master Cloner, this never saw play ever. It's just not good, so safe disenchant. Benedictus, more of a meme card than anything. You know, shuffle a copy of your opponent's deck into your deck. So if you're playing like some really cheesy quest, death rattle, Benedictus, control priest, this is your guy. If this, you know, that doesn't sound very interesting to you, or if you want to play a deck that wins, then you can disenchant this guy and it's okay. Prophet Velen, definitely a safe keep. Very, very powerful card. 7 mana, 7/7, double the damage of healing of your, double the damage and healing of your spells and hero power. So Mind Blast, you know, they do 10 damage. And if you have this, you know, Malagos out, does 20. So it's just crazy damage. Super solid card. Fits into a lot of different priest decks. Temporus, horrible card. he's a big risk for a big reward, and most of the time you're dead when you use them. So princess, no. So I think Toast made some sort of like worst OTK video, and she ran this, and she ran the like clockwork people that did the hero power, or that doubled the damage of your hero power, and you did 32 with it, but that deck absolutely sucked. It took him like, yeah, deck was horrible. So you safe disenchant, you don't need this card. Shadow Reaper Anduin, really good card. Again, DKs, most of the time the DKs are good, except the Warrior one. It fucking sucks. I don't know why they made that one. I'm sorry. For all you Warrior lovers out there, I've been disappointed since it came out, so a long time now. But Shadow Reaper is really good, and it does see play in, you know, combo Dragon Priest, Inner Fire Dragon Priest, it sees a lot of play. And Cloning Gallery only sees play in one deck right now, and that's going to be the Resurrect Priest that Asmo made popular. And again, Lyra is also found in that deck. So if you have no intention of playing like the OTK Resurrect Priest, it's a safe disenchant because it really only fits in that particular deck. But you know, yeah, I mean, that deck is really fun too. So I mean, I don't recommend disenchanting this, and because building that deck is fun, but if you have no intention of playing that one particular deck where this card does fit in, it's a safe disenchant. Moving to Rogue, there's someone at my door real quick, so I'm gonna go answer that, so there'll be a slight cut here. So Roguey boy, we're looking at the Kingsbane. Rip the Kingsbane. So unfortunately, Kingsbane just got a nerf, well, not the weapon itself, but a card that worked really well in the deck, the Leeching Poison. So now it doesn't apply to the weapon for the remainder of the game. It only does one turn, and you know, hitting minions in the face, or hitting minions every turn and not healing for it, will eventually kill the rogue because the rogue has no healing. So that's why Kingsbane doesn't see really any play at all anymore. So unfortunately, I can't recommend crafting this card at the moment, nor playing with it. You know, it's a pretty safe disenchant just because of that one nerf really destroyed the deck. But we have made a deck that's really good if you really enjoyed Kingsbane. It's the Spectral Cutlass deck. So if you did like Kingsbane decks, or if you wanted to play it, I would recommend checking out our Test Rogue video, where we basically do the same exact thing what Kingsbane does, but it's actually more fun, and it's just as good. Maybe not just as good, but close to just as good. The Quest Rogue is still, in my opinion, a really popular, very powerful deck if played correctly, and it's really not that hard to play, so pretty good. If you go into queue into any OTK deck or control matchup, it's almost an instantaneous win, just because of the fact that you're able to do huge amounts of burst damage once you complete the quest through, you know, your Stone Tusk Boar and your deck hands. So really powerful deck, but if you queue into any Hunter or any sort of other aggressive deck like Odd Rogue, you're going to get absolutely destroyed. So it's basically, when you play an Odd Rogue deck, it's rock, paper, scissors. So it's up to you. I personally think it's I mean, if you like the deck or want to try it, you can hold on to it. It is actually a fairly cheap deck. It's probably one of the cheapest decks that you can build that's very consistent in what it does. So Quest Rogue. Edwin, again, just to keep, because he's part of the core set. He doesn't necessarily fit in any particular deck right now. He used to always normally fit into some form of Miracle Rogue, but that's really not a thing right now. But definitely just still good to keep him. And you can still play him in, you know, your odd rogues. Or if you want to play some sort of cheesy Miracle Rogue, or if you're playing my Test Rogue and you want to play him, you're more than welcome to doing that. Face Collector, I've tried him a few times. He's okay, but overall, safe disenchant. It's not really found in any competitive deck, nor is he very good. Shadow Dancer, in my opinion, really, really good card. It's actually one of the staples in the Quest Rogue, if you're interested. And overall, she's found in a lot of different Rogue decks, so pretty safe keep, in my opinion, and is a really good card. Lillian Voss is just horrible. Shirazin was once found in Miracle Rogue, some Miracle Rogue, not all Miracle Rogue. But it's pretty safe disenchant. He's not really played at all right now. Grawl the Shark, I didn't like this card. I tried him in the one deck that he was supposed to be good in, and he still wasn't that great in him. So pretty safe disenchant there, not craft. Myra, I was hoping she'd be good in Death Rattle Rogue. I tried Death Rattle Rogue. I tried Myra. Disappointed in Myra. She's more of like a meme / cool card than she is a good card. Safe disenchant there. Unstable Elements found in Odd Rogue and Odd Rogue really only. It's pretty good in that particular deck. If you have 1600 dust and you're like, do I craft Unstable Element or a card maybe like Leroy or some other legendary that works in other decks, I would recommend that first, because this is only like, when you're thinking about a legendary card, that's a lot of dust. And if you're crafting a legendary card for one specific spot in one specific deck, instead of crafting another card that's maybe good in like 3, 4, 5 different decks, you know, I recommend crafting those variety legendaries or variety epics first, which we'll get into in our legendary, you know, neutral disenchant guide, because I do want to break up the classes and the neutrals just because of how long this video is going to be. Captain, Hook Tusk is found in a mid-range sort of pirate prince deck. The deck's actually pretty good, so if you do have the Captain Hook Tusk, I recommend looking at that particular deck, just because it's pretty cool, because it runs Captain Hook Tusk, and it's, like I said, pretty good. But if you have no intention of playing that sort of like, you know, prince tempo pirate rogue, you know, she's a pretty safe disenchant, but I think it's a pretty cool deck. Tess, again, definitely a safe disenchant, but if you want to play, like I mentioned, my Tess deck with runs a Spectral Cutlass, so it's similar to Kingsbane, like I mentioned earlier. She's a really, really important card in that deck, but overall, she's obviously not found in any super high level competitive deck, so she is, you know, safe to disenchant, but I would just, you know, take a look at the deck first to see if that interests you. Valera, really, really good. Fits in almost any rogue deck that you want to build, whether it be, you know, Miracle Rogue, Odd Rogue, you know, Quest Rogue, whatever you want to build. She's just a really good card, but again, keep in mind she's a DK, so she's rotating soon. Shaman, Unite the Murlocs meme card. Again, one of the weaker quests, so definitely safe to disenchant. Electro Storm Surge is really good, whether you're playing her in elemental shaman, bloodlust shaman, token shaman, burst shaman, control shaman. Just good shaman card in general. Senmo, same thing. I think this card is exceedingly powerful. There's a lot of cards that combo with this. You look at like Earthshock, Hex, Rockbiter Weapon. I mean, the card for 3 mana, 1/3, and its ability is just super solid. So definitely a solid hold. Thrall, pretty disappointed. Not disappointed, but this card used to be good when like Doppelgangsters was out, but now that Doppelgangsters isn't a thing, and Evolve Shaman isn't really that powerful. Thrall is not that powerful, so pretty safe disenchant. It's not really found in any deck right now. Grumble, I am so glad Shutter Shaman isn't a thing anymore. So Grumble was found, he was a key part of the combo in Shutter Shaman, but now that that's gone, Grumble isn't found in any deck. He's still a really good card. He's still a 6 mana 7/7 elemental that has a great ability. So if you want to play some sort of cool, you know, like shaman deck that plays this guy, he's still a really good card. He's just not currently found in any, like, you know, really powerful deck, but he's still a good card. In itself, this is a very powerful card. It just doesn't see play at a competitive level at the moment. Caught with the Frog is actually found in the Burst Shaman right now, or the Spell Shaman, or whatever you want to call it, the Overload Shaman, because you're able to cast a bunch of spells in one turn, then you play her and get them all back. So it's definitely a safe keep from her end. This guy's absolutely dog shit. If you have this guy, I'm sorry. The Stormbringer is actually, again, not really a card that a lot of people play. Sometimes, you know, you'll get, the only time you normally play this card, if you get it from Hagatha. You know, I tried a Token Druid with this card in it. It worked out pretty well, but do you need this card? No. Is it, you know, a key component to any popular deck right now? No. So it's pretty safe DE. Alakir is, again, one of the cards that pops in and out of the meta depending on the time and what deck it's, you know, is working well right now. Even Shaman is very powerful. Alakir, the Wind Lord, is in Even Shaman, so, you know, this is a hot card at the moment. So definitely a good keep. Plus, again, he's from the core set, and I always recommend keeping the legendaries from the core set. Hagatha, super powerful DK. She's actually sticking around through the next rotation, so this is a pretty solid keep, in my opinion. If you have her, I wouldn't recommend disenchanting her. Kalamos, really good in Elemental Shaman, really good in Even Shaman. Besides that, doesn't really see a lot of play, but if you're interested in either one of those two decks, pretty powerful right now. So he's a pretty powerful card, that is. The Rune Spear is absolutely garbage. I don't know why they make shit like this. I mean, when you have a legendary card, you know, at least have it like, okay, like see play in some deck, you know, even if it's just a very specific deck and it's like a meme. But this is just horrible in all aspects about it. Like, it could be exceedingly super powerful, or it could just be dog shit, and most of the time it's dog shit. And then Shudderwook, this is found in like some sort of tempo / control decks right now. Just, you play this card not as a finisher or an OTK combo, which is most commonly known for, which is why people like me and a lot of players hate them. But if you just play this card on its own in just a deck that has some cool battle cries to like wipe the field or to get like a field advantage, and you only play him once, he's just a one-turn ability, he's not repeated, it's overall a cool card. I had no problems with Shudderwook just playing the card in normal deck, but when you just keep playing Shudder over and over, that's when the card got exceedingly annoying, because it wasn't particularly fun and or interactive. So you know, if you want to keep him, that's fine. He still fits into some decks. Warlock. Quest Warlock, with the most recent expansion, got exceedingly popular. In my opinion, the Discard Warlock is still a pretty good deck. The Discard Warlock that we were running and still currently run does still have a very positive win rate. I think we're sitting around like 60%, and it's a really fun deck. So I don't recommend disenchanting this card yet. I would recommend playing the deck first, just because of how fun it is. But again, if you have no interest in playing Discard Warlock, because obviously this only fits into Discard Warlock, it's a safe disenchant. The Solarium, a lot of people play this in their Zoo Warlock. It fits into the Discard Warlock. It fits into Mechathune Warlock. So it's a pretty card. It's a card that fits into a variety of different Warlock decks, which makes it popular. But it's not a must-have, if you know what I'm saying. Like, it's not a card that you need to have or the deck doesn't function. It's more of like a card that makes just those decks a little bit better. So I'm going to leave this one up to you. I don't want to say craft it or disenchant, because it's a hit or miss. Dependent on the player. Clutch Mother is only found in Discard Warlock, so if you have no interest in Discard Warlock, she's horrible. High Princess is actually a priestess, is an interesting guy, because because a lot of people are running her in their cube Warlocks, and the reason being is they run the Skull of Minari, which we have here, and if your opponent discards this, or per se you never draw it, your Doom Guards, which would normally discard cards in your hand, there's a good chance that might discard a High Priestess, and then having a taunt and a heal in a Warlock deck is really important. So just, I've seen I don't know if she's a staple in Cube Block right now, or is it just like, you know, the hipsters playing her in Cube Warlock. But I've seen a couple players play her not only in the Discard Warlock, so just keep note of that. Even in Discard Warlock, I have yet to see a single other player ever play the Blood Queen. I played her in my Discard Warlock because I love her. She was a super fun boss in the raid. So I have a lot of connections through these cards, through the, you know, just playing World of Warcraft back in the day when Frozen Throne, in my opinion, Lich King was one of the best expansions. Wrath of the Lich King was such an amazing expansion. Same thing with Burning Crusade, and then after that the game died. But yeah, safe disenchant. Skull is currently found in all kinds of Warlock decks. Control Warlock, OTK, or OTK Warlock, Control Warlock, and Cube Warlock, and sometimes even sort of Fatigue Warlocks that are popping up around right now. It is not found in normally Zoo and or Mechathune, but overall pretty solid card and fits into those decks. Glinda, she doesn't, I mean, there is meme decks that have her in here, but by no means is this a card you need to have safe disenchant. Rin, super cool card, fits into Control Warlock, and that's about it. So, and you also can get her, you can also play her in your Cube Warlock, but she's not like a need. And also, if you're light on dust and you can't afford her, you always can play Stonehill Defenders, and those give you taunt cards. So you always can discover a Rin that way. But I wouldn't disenchant her. She's just a cool card. Lord Joffrey, again, super good. Recommend if you like Warlock, you like Control Warlock, you like Cube Warlock. This is a need card. This is a good one right here. It's a banger. This card absolutely sucks. You don't need this card. It's horrible. The Bat, I have yet to see a single player play this against me ever, at all. Zero. Pretty safe disenchant in my opinion. Lord Draxus, again, because of Gul'dan, it makes Lord Draxus feel like poopy, but Lord Draxus will be and forever the first DK that was awesome. So really good card. I recommend do not disenchanting, just because when Gul'dan isn't a thing anymore, Draxus will be there for us, and Draxus will return, chat. And then Gul'dan, of course, one of the most powerful DKs. And if you're playing in almost any Warlock deck, you're playing this guy. So definitely a good keep and a good card. Last but not least, the Warrior, the most disappointing set of legendaries that we'll come across, basically, out of all of the sets. Fire Plume's Heart probably being the best legendary out of all of the cards we're going to go over. The taunt slash quest slash control warrior build. We've hit legend numerous times with the odd quest warrior or just quest warrior. It's just a good deck, and the hero power, you know, it just puts your opponent on clock, 2 mana, deal 8 damage every turn. Your opponent deals with it, you know, cool. Most of the time they can't. The next one is War Master of Vol'dun. I played this guy in our Dragon Warrior deck right off the bat. It did okay, but you know, there's just better cards that do, there's better cards in different classes that just do better things. Like, this is cool, copy all dragons in your hand, but you can't play them in odd. Like, you'd want to play this in an odd quest warrior to, you know, copy and make more taunts or more dragon taunts. If there was dragon taunts. It's just unfortunate. So right now this card does not see play, but you know, if you want to hang, if you like Dragon Warrior, I'd definitely keep him. Crowley is probably another of the ones that see a little bit more play than, you know, the Vol'dun and stuff like that. I actually play this guy in my odd warrior and control warrior builds and rush warrior builds. So if you have this guy and you enjoy warrior, it's definitely a pretty safe keep because he's just a good card. He's not overwhelmingly powerful, but he is good. Most of the time he sees value if he's in your hand. This is a safe disenchant. I don't think there's any decks that play this, and you know, you'd never play this. Dr. Boom, this is a hit or miss because when I played my odd warrior, I don't even play Dr. Boom in the deck at all, because most of the time the hero power is just better. Some players play it, some players don't. It's dependent kind of on the matchup and what it's looking like. So for example, a lot of players, like a rule of thumb is if you're playing against a hunter, which is a very popular matchup right now, is if you're playing odd warrior, you have the, you know, tank up hero power. When they play Rexar, then you switch over to Dr. Boom, so you're both kind of creating minions, you know, you're summoning stuff and you're on the same page again. But when their hero powers deal 2 damage, your interaction is to gain 4 armor, and eventually, you know what I mean, they can't kill you that way. But if you go Dr. Boom and they still do 2 damage, Dr. Boom doesn't give you armor always. There's, you know, he's like a 1 in 5 to give you, you know, the +7 armor. So yes, he's good in odd warrior. Yes, he's good if you're running just not odd warrior, but he's not as good as the other DKs. He's what the DKs should have been. He's powerful, but he's not Gul'dan powerful. Akali the Rhino is only found in Rush Warrior, and that is it. And the Rush Warrior is not that good. It's a fun deck, and you can win with it. And I've seen people hit Legend with Rush Warrior, but it's a challenge. So, up to your discretion. Pretty safe disenchant in my opinion, but if you really love Rush Warriors, any sort of aggro warrior, she's definitely a good card. Yep. Again, unfortunately, if this was an odd card, this would be amazing and I would love to play it, because it's an even card. It doesn't really see play at all, ever. It's sometimes found in like this niche recruit, you know, control warrior, but that's not a popular deck. Pretty safe disenchant. Hellscream, definitely do not disenchant. Definitely a great warrior card. Whether, I mean, you could play this in your control warrior. I mean, he doesn't obviously fit in odd warrior, but he used to be a staple in control warrior. He was literally how you would finish the game, and a lot of the times you'd have, you know, Despite, or you have Taskmaster, you have Whirlwind, and he's just 10 damage coming at you in the face. Think of him like a Pyroblast. So, in a minion that can do thingies every turn. Rotface, again, I really wish this was an odd card. All of the cool warrior cards are all even, and I think they did that on purpose because odd warrior would be amazing. But yeah, you can disenchant. You don't need this card. This is the I hate this DK so much. The only good thing that comes out of this DK is the weapon, the Shadowmourne. That is it. Besides that, this is the most pitiful DK I think I've ever seen. Like, 2 damage, or 2 mana, deal 1 damage to everything. Look at Gul'dan. Look at Valera. I mean, look at Jaina. This doesn't even compare. Woe Cleaver, again, recruit warrior only. You can disenchant it. Recruit warrior is not good. I played King Mosh in my odd warrior. By no means is this a staple, and I don't even recommend it because it was more of just a fun card. No one plays King Mosh, so I gotta play King Mosh. But it's a cool card. If you like odd warrior, throw him in there. If you don't play odd warrior, don't play this card. Boomship is found in Mecha'thun Warrior, and Mecha'thun Warrior is non-existent, so it's pretty safe disenchant. Also, Recruit Warrior, you know, you can play this in there, but remember, these Recruit Warrior decks are very expensive, and if, again, you're watching this video, that means you're kind of like on a budget, a free-to-play player, an immediate player. You're looking to not, you know, build these the decks that cost 15 to 20,000 dust. So again, pretty safe disenchant. And that goes it. That's it. So that's our class legendary disenchant guide. I know this is a longer video, guys, but I just wanted to pack in a lot of information just so you guys can kind of understand a little bit about the legendary. I'm just like, not craft. I'm gonna get details into it. I want to give you guys like why or why not. And then the next one, like I said, we'll go over is the neutral legendaries, and I'll try to put these 2 videos out at roughly the same time so you guys can go through that and, you know, pick out which ones you want and not want. So with that, thanks for watching, and if you agree or disagree or looking for any further information, the comment section below is always great for that. So with that, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Of course, I'm Robert Warshak, and happy whatever the hell day it is.